On the scales, King Rye Garcia. 146.8 pounds for
147 pounds. We know how big you are. How much better are you feeling right now?
Much better. This is the weight class I belong in. This is the one I feel the most comfortable, so excited to start.
Under the bright, unforgiving lights of Las Vegas, the official weigh-in and final face-off between Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios unfolded like the calm before a storm, the kind of silence that feels louder than any roar. Cameras flashed, eyes locked, and in that charged moment, everything suddenly felt real. Both fighters stepped onto the scale, carrying months of sacrifice on their shoulders, and neither blinked. The numbers told the story first. Mario Barrios hit 147 pounds on the dot, composed, sharp, every inch of him radiating quiet readiness. Then came Ryan Garcia, 146.8 pounds. Lean, focused, almost eerily calm, like he already sees something the rest of us don't. Just like that, the fight was no longer talk. It was official, sealed for tomorrow night at the T-Mobile Arena. But the real tension wasn't in the digits on the scale. It was in the stare. The split second where neither man looked away. Because now there's nowhere to hide. No more training camps. No more interviews. Just 24 hours separating promise from consequence. And when those lights come back on tomorrow, only one of them walks out changed forever.
I'm not going to give too much energy into that. He likes to talk a lot about that.
The face-off wasn't just intense. It felt personal, like something deeper was bubbling beneath the surface as both fighters leaned in close, trading sharp words that cut through the noise. Shoulder to shoulder, chest to chest, they stood there, staring each other down for nearly a full minute that somehow felt like forever, neither man willing to blink, neither man willing to give an inch. Security eventually stepped in, but even as they were pulled apart, the tension didn't fade. It hung in the air, thick and electric. This wasn't hype. It was real. And if that moment was any preview, tomorrow night won't just be a fight. It's going to be explosive. But here's where things take a turn. Now that the scales are behind us and the official part is done, the Real conversation begins. Because behind the scenes, away from the cameras and the bright lights, some of the biggest names in boxing have already made their picks. Champions, legends, voices that carry serious weight. And what they're predicting, it's not what most people expected. In fact, it might completely change how you see this fight.
I think he sleeps, Ryan.
Late? I'm thinking Ryan's winning early, and then
I think that too. I think Ryan's gonna come out winning, and I think that he's gonna be taller, longer.
Hey, who do you think is gonna win in the fight, Ryan Garcia or Mario Barrios?
I think Ryan Garcia, bro. Yeah, he's really good, and I think this is his chance. I hope he's working hard because
he is, bro.
Yeah,
he is.
okay. Because this is his chance to be a world champion.
Starting with one of the most respected voices in the entire sport, Terrence Crawford stepped into the conversation and instantly shifted the temperature. When he gave his take on this matchup, people leaned in, because when Crawford talks, the boxing world listens. And what he said, it caught more than a few fans off guard. He didn't hesitate, didn't dance around it. Crawford told the media straight up, "I think Ryan's speed is going to be too much for Barrios." Just like that. Calm. Certain. Then he doubled down. People forget how fast Ryan's hands are when he's locked in. That wasn't just a compliment, it was a warning. A reminder of something dangerous that many might be overlooking. And then came the twist. If Ryan shows up focused like he did against Haney, Barrios is in for a long night. Suddenly the narrative shifts. Because now it's not just about size or power. It's about sharpness, timing, discipline. Crawford isn't questioning Ryan's talent. He's questioning which version of him walks through that tunnel. The unpredictable one, or the dialed-in sniper we've seen before. And if it's the focused version, the one who fights like every second matters, then this matchup might look very different than people expect.
Fight, and it's going to give a fun, fan-friendly fight. May the best man win.
That endorsement from someone many call the best pound-for-pound fighter on the planet doesn't just echo, it lands. Terrence Crawford has shared the ring with elite welterweights his entire career, felt their timing, their power, their rhythm up close. So when he says Ryan's speed will be a problem, that's not hype. That's experience talking. But here's where it gets interesting. Crawford didn't just praise him, he issued a warning. The real question, he said, is whether Ryan can carry that blazing speed for 12 full rounds at 147 pounds. That's the part people aren't talking about enough. The weight, the size, The subtle difference that can turn sharp movements into heavy legs after round 8. So yes, Crawford is picking Ryan to win, but there's a condition attached. If Garcia can't maintain that pace, the tide could turn late. He even mapped out. If Ryan explodes early and clearly takes the first 4 or 5 rounds, Barrios could find himself trapped in a hole too deep to escape. But if Barrios survives that early storm, stays composed through 6, drags Ryan into deeper waters, then suddenly we're looking at a completely different fight when the championship rounds arrive. That level of detail shows Crawford isn't guessing. He's dissecting. And just when you think you've heard the boldest take, Gervonta Davis steps in, and what Tank said next stunned the boxing world.
When you fought Ryan, it was the catch weight, right? So he was drained.
Bro, he was in more shape. If you go look at the fight and how the fight was, he was in more shape. Niggas saying I drank. No, I did not. He was eating.
Davis didn't hesitate. He looked straight into the cameras and said it plain. Barrios is going to stop Ryan. I've been in the ring with Ryan. I've felt his power. And I'm telling you right now, that power doesn't travel up to 147 the way he thinks it does. The room shifted when he said that. Because this isn't just another opinion. This is coming from the only man who has ever actually stopped Ryan Garcia in a professional fight. Tank knows the rhythm, the speed, the sting of that left hook. He's felt it, survived it. And now he's saying it won't be enough against a naturally bigger welterweight like Barrios. Then he took it even further. Ryan's biggest weapon is that left hook, Davis explained, almost like he was breaking down film in real time. But when you're fighting guys walking around at 165, 170 pounds, that same shot that dropped lightweights doesn't hit the same. That's not trash talk, that's a warning. Tank believes Barrios is going to walk through it, absorb it, and start breaking Ryan down piece by piece. And just to drive it home, he pointed to Ryan's last fight against Rolly Romero, where Garcia hit the canvas and ended up losing a decision. In Tank's eyes, that wasn't a fluke. It was a sign.
We had a media workout. He was eating at his media workout, bro. I wasn't even eating at my media workout. You get what I'm saying? Like, it just, he tricked the people like, yeah, I'm draining. No, you wasn't. I just made him have to work harder than what you seen when he fought.
Rolly showed the blueprint, simple, direct, and impossible to ignore. Ryan gets caught, Ryan gets hurt. And now the difference is the punches aren't coming from lightweights anymore. They're coming from bigger, stronger men who carry real physical presence at 147. Barrios, in particular, hits harder than Rolly ever did. So just imagine the moment he lands clean. The impact, the ripple through Ryan's guard, the shift in momentum that happens in a single exchange. Davis didn't stop there with his take. He doubled down on a bold prediction, saying straight up, I'm saying Barrios stops him in round 9 or 10. That's when Ryan's conditioning starts to fade at this weight. That's when Barrios steps on the gas and unloads with power shots Ryan won't be able to absorb. It wasn't a safe guess. It was a precise call, almost like he's visualizing how the fight unfolds round by round. And coming from the only fighter who has knocked Ryan out cold, that prediction carries serious weight. Now fans are left questioning everything. If someone who felt that power firsthand believes it won't hold up at welterweight, then the bigger question lingers. Can Ryan's explosiveness truly survive against bigger men deep into the championship rounds?
If he be able to slip the hook, he could be able to go ahead and...
So you're not buying the PED stuff? You think that was...
But then Shakur Stevenson stepped in with a completely different perspective and instantly flipped the debate upside down. Speaking with full confidence, he made it clear he wasn't buying the doubt around Ryan. Y'all are sleeping on Ryan. I think he knocks Barrios out cold, Stevenson said, almost challenging the growing wave of predictions against Garcia. He pointed to moments people can't ignore. People forget Ryan dropped Devin Haney 3 times, and Devin is one of the best defensive fighters we've got. That detail matters, because Haney was an easy target. He's slick, disciplined, hard to hit. So if Ryan found openings there, Shakur believes those same explosive shots could land even heavier against Barrios. And here's where he drew the contrast. Barrios doesn't move like Devin. He doesn't have that level of defense. So when Ryan catches him, it's going to be brutal. Stevenson didn't just predict a win. He predicted the moment. He went as far as naming the round. I've got Ryan by knockout in round 7. That's when Barrios starts slowing down from pressing the action. That's when fatigue creeps in, and that's when Ryan explodes and lands clean. His breakdown wasn't random hype. It was calculated. A different vision of how the fight collapses. And now fans are left with 2 powerful, opposing predictions clashing. leaving one massive question hanging in the air. Who's actually reading this matchup correctly?
Be a lot of excitement to that fight. It's a big money fight. Ryan Garcia is somebody that comes in there. You never know which version of him is going to show up. So if the good version of him show up, he gets spanked. If the bad version of him show up, he gets spanked.
Barrios is expected to come forward, pressuring with his size and trying to impose his physical strength, but that aggressive approach is exactly the kind of rhythm Ryan thrives on. At heart, Ryan is a counterpuncher. He reads movement, feels timing, waits for that slight overcommitment. So when Barrios lunges in with heavy combinations, leaving even the smallest opening, that's when Ryan can load up and fire the left hook with precision. One clean shot in that exchange, and the entire momentum can flip in an instant. That bold breakdown from someone as skilled and sharp as Shakur Stevenson has forced people to reconsider everything they thought they knew about this matchup. It's not just opinion anymore, it's strategy dissected in real time. But just when the debate seemed locked between analysts and fighters, another voice stepped into spotlight. Devin Haney himself finally broke his silence on the fight, and instead of playing it neutral or diplomatic, what he said came with pure intensity. His comments weren't just analysis, they were personal, direct, and brutally honest. And now the storyline just got deeper. Because when someone who shared the ring with Ryan speaks up like that, the impact goes far beyond predictions.
I couldn't believe that a guy like, no disrespect to Ryan, but I felt like I was levels above him. I couldn't believe that a guy like Ryan could beat me. I trained super hard. I was super disciplined. He did everything wrong. I did everything right.
Haney didn't hold back. He said it bluntly, almost emotionally charged. I hope Barrios knocks Ryan out. After everything that happened in our fight and the way it ended, I want to see Ryan get what's coming to him. Those words hit hard because they weren't filtered. They carried history behind them. But even in the middle of the tension and personal edge, Haney didn't stop at revenge talk. He shifted into straight breakdown mode, proving this wasn't just about feelings. He pointed out the physical reality. Barrios is bigger, stronger, more comfortable, and seasoned at 147. Then he reminded everyone of something people sometimes overlook. Ryan struggled with Rolly Romero, a fighter nowhere near the level many believe Barrios operates at. If Rolly was able to hurt Ryan, and even take a decision, then imagine the damage a naturally larger, more powerful welterweight could inflict. Haney dug deeper into the pattern he sees. Ryan's biggest problem, he suggested, is that he doesn't respect his opponent's power until it's too late. He referenced the moments that defined recent fights, getting careless against Tank and paying the price, getting caught and dropped against Rolly and facing consequences again. His message was clear. If that same lapse happens against Barrios, history could repeat itself. And now the pressure builds even higher because everyone's watching to see whether Ryan breaks that cycle or falls right back into it.
That weight is definitely hard for both of them to make. We got to see, who left it all in the gym or who's fresh on that night. And I think that's what's going to determine.
That analysis from someone who's actually shared the ring with Ryan carries real weight, even if there's clearly emotion and history woven into the words. When fighters who felt the speed and power firsthand speak, it hits different. And then Canelo Alvarez stepped in with his prediction, adding even more fuel to the fire. The Mexican superstar didn't sugarcoat it. He told reporters, I think it's going to be a war. Both guys can punch. Both guys have heart. But I give the edge to Barrios because he's a true welterweight. That statement alone shifted conversations. Because Canelo wasn't dismissing Ryan's talent, he was highlighting the physical reality of the weight class. Then he added the detail that really got people talking. Ryan is going to have problems with the size in the later rounds. That line carried an important warning. It wasn't about the first few explosive exchanges. It was about endurance, resistance, and what happens when the fight stretches into deep waters. Suddenly, the focus moves from flash and power to stamina and physical wear. And with someone like Canelo saying size could decide it late, fans are left wondering, will experience and natural strength take over when fatigue sets in? Or will speed and precision strike before that moment arrives?
Ryan can take out a guy like Barrios, man. Barrios is experienced. I don't give a damn what anybody say. He got a lot of experience, man. He got the best resume at 147 pounds, right? He's a champion. You know what I mean? He's been in the ring with Tank.
If Ryan can close the show inside the first 6 rounds, then the path to victory becomes clear. But if this fight drifts into the championship rounds, the balance starts tilting toward Barrios. That's the line Canelo drew, and he explained it in simple, undeniable terms. When you're naturally bigger and properly hydrated at 147 pounds, every punch you throw carries more mass behind it. It's not just speed anymore. It's weight, leverage, and sustained physical pressure. And over time, those shots add up. Ryan is going to feel every clean connection Barrios lands. By round 8 or 9, Canelo warned that accumulation could start showing in the way Ryan moves, the way he reacts, the way his feet slow down ever so slightly. So in his eyes, this fight comes down to timing. Can Ryan explode early and finish before the size difference becomes overwhelming? Or does Barrios survive the early surge and take control when fatigue enters the picture? That layered breakdown set the stage for even deeper insight, and then Timothy Bradley stepped in with one of the most technical and detailed analyses of anyone who's weighed in on this matchup so far.
In the ring with that was
Pacquiao recently, obviously.
Pacquiao recently, and there was another one.
Thurman, was it Thurman?
Yeah, Keith one-time Thurman. So I mean, he's felt resistance. He's felt resistance at every single level, right? You know, even with the southpaw. So I mean, you got.
Bradley didn't just give a prediction. He built a blueprint around it. He said it clearly. I'm taking Barrios by unanimous decision. Here's why. And then he went straight into the details. In his view, Ryan has never truly proven he can keep that high-volume pace for 12 full rounds at 147. Talent? Yes. Explosiveness? Absolutely. But sustainability at this weight? That's the question mark. Bradley believes Barrios will lean on his jab, control the distance, and force Ryan to stay engaged every second of every round, never allowing him comfortable breathing space. Then he broke down the technical flaws he sees. Ryan, according to Bradley, still has defensive habits that can be exploited at this level. He pulls straight back with his head. He doesn't consistently use lateral footwork to escape pressure. Against a fighter like Barrios, who brings a long jab, physical strength, and strong ring awareness, those small defensive gaps can turn into big problems. Bradley even mapped it out round by round. Rounds 1 through 4 go to Ryan because of speed, sharp bursts, and early activity. Rounds 5 through 8 become tighter and more tactical, but momentum slowly starts shifting as Barrios finds his rhythm. Then comes the turning point, rounds 9 through 12. Those late stages in Bradley's eyes belong to Barrios completely as pressure builds, fatigue sets in, and the size advantage starts overwhelming Ryan. It's not just a prediction, it's a progression, showing exactly how he believes the fight unfolds from start to finish.
What have you been telling him to keep him grounded in this situation?
Just stay focused, keep working, and stay dedicated to your craft, and don't let his antics, get under your skin. Because that's what he's trying to do. So just stay focused, and I feel like he can come on top. He just stay focused, stay hungry, and realize that he's equal to.
That detailed breakdown from someone who was one of the most technical fighters of his generation had a lot of experts quietly nodding in agreement. But just when it felt like the narrative was leaning one way, Errol Spence Jr. stepped in and flipped it. His take went completely against the growing wave of predictions favoring a late Barrios surge. Spence spoke with confidence, almost certainty. Ryan wins this fight easier than people think, he said. In his eyes, Barrios is built for the exact style matchup Ryan thrives in. Barrios comes forward. He doesn't have crazy head movement. He leaves openings. And those openings, Spence argued, are dangerous against someone with a lethal left hook. Because when a pressure fighter marches in without tight defense, the counterpuncher gets to set traps, and that's where fights change in an instant. Then Spence took it even further. He didn't just predict a win, he predicted a stoppage. I'm telling y'all, Ryan stops him inside 8 rounds. Bold, direct, no hesitation. He believes the power will absolutely carry up to 147 because Ryan has physically matured, lifted weights, and built his frame the right way. This isn't the same Ryan who fought at 135, Spence emphasized. In his view, the evolution changes everything. Suddenly, the debate shifts again, because if the power truly translates and the timing lands early, the fight might not even reach the championship rounds everyone's been analyzing.
He got back-to-back draws. That's a history in the making. Not an entertaining one, but it's history in the making. Drawing, so let's see if Ryan can, beat him. And then, like I said, they're all lightweights moving up. So then if they were to ever try to see us at 54, then they're...
Spence doubled down on why he believes the power will carry. He pointed out that Ryan hasn't just moved up in weight randomly. He's been preparing for welterweight with intention. Structured strength training, added muscle built the right way. A frame that naturally supports the extra pounds instead of forcing them on. In his eyes, that makes a difference. Because when Ryan sits down on that left hook at 147, Spence believes it will still deliver the same damage we've seen before. The same impact. The same fight-changing effect that stunned opponents at lower weights. And coming from someone who has spent his entire prime competing at welterweight, understanding the physical demands and the grind of the division, that endorsement gave Ryan's supporters real momentum heading into fight night. Then Keith Thurman stepped into the conversation with a balanced but technical breakdown of his own. "This is a pick-em fight for me," Thurman explained, showing respect for both fighters. But if forced to choose, he leaned slightly toward Barrios, predicting a split decision victory. His reasoning? He believes Ryan will control the early rounds with sharp speed and high activity, using bursts to steal momentum on the scorecards. However, in Thurman's view, Barrios will adjust, apply steady pressure, and grow stronger as the fight enters the second half. That late surge, combined with size and consistency, could swing the judge's perception in his favor. Once again, the debate circles back to timing, who dictates the pace early, and who dominates when fatigue sets in later.
And so you think Ryan's got a bigger punch than that? Bigger punch than, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because when Ryan touches you.
No, when he touches lightweights, see, he hasn't dropped real welterweights.
Okay, yep.
Is there even a real welterweight
That he's fought.
in the welterweight division? I think Conor Benn's the only.
He pointed out something interesting first, back-to-back draws. That's history in the making. Not necessarily the kind of history fans crave, but still rare. Draw after draw creates uncertainty, creates controversy, and keeps the pressure building around both fighters. Thurman acknowledged it with a hint of sarcasm, then shifted focus. He reminded everyone that these are lightweights moving up, testing themselves at 147. And he added a warning for the future. If they ever decide to meet again at 154, that's where real danger comes into play again, because the physical gap only grows. Then he broke the fight down to the moments that matter most. In his eyes, rounds 7 through 10 will decide everything. That's when the early speed advantage starts fading, when fatigue creeps in, and when Barrios' natural size and experience at the weight begin to show. Those championship-like middle rounds become the turning point. Thurman even predicted how the scorecards might look in a razor-close battle. He envisioned one judge leaning toward Ryan, maybe 115 to 113. But the other two, slight edge to Barrios, 115 to 113, and perhaps 116 to 112. Close, competitive, split right down the middle, but ultimately leaning toward Barrios, doing just enough to edge it out. That kind of detailed round-by-round breakdown from someone who has fought wars at welterweight adds real credibility to the projection. It proves just how tight this matchup could be. But just when it feels like the experts have said all, the conversation expands even further, because now even trainers and retired legends are stepping forward to give their predictions. And their perspectives might add another twist to the storyline. Then he broke the fight down to the moments that matter most. In his eyes, rounds 7 through 10 will decide everything. That's when the early speed advantage starts fading, when fatigue creeps in, and when Barrios' natural size and experience at the weight begin to show. Those championship-like middle rounds become the turning point. Thurman even predicted how the scorecards might look in a razor-close battle. He envisioned one judge leaning toward Ryan, maybe 115 to 113. But the other two, slight edge to Barrios, 115 to 113, and perhaps 116 to 112. Close, competitive, split right down the middle, but ultimately leaning toward Barrios, doing just enough to edge it out. That kind of detailed round-by-round breakdown from someone who has fought wars at welterweight adds real credibility to the projection. It proves just how tight this matchup could be. But just when it feels like the experts have said it all, the conversation expands even further, because now even trainers and retired legends are stepping forward to give their predictions. And their perspectives might add another twist to the storyline.
My prediction is, may the best man.
Freddie Roach didn't hold back. He looked at the matchup and made his stance clear. I like Barrios in this fight. From his perspective, the recent results around Ryan can't just be brushed off. Getting stopped by Tank, dropping a decision to Raleigh. Those aren't isolated moments, they're data points. And to Roach, they signal real challenges. When Ryan steps up against elite opposition, he emphasized the bigger picture too. Barrios isn't a fighter testing the waters at 147. He's a world champion competing in his natural weight class, comfortable, confident, and built for that division. That stability, Roach believes, becomes the deciding factor. Size matters. Strength matters. Familiarity with the weight matters. Then he shifted into coaching mode, outlining exactly how Barrios should approach it. If it were up to him, Barrios would establish the jab early, take control of the center of the ring, and force Ryan to react instead of initiate. No chasing, no wild exchanges. Just disciplined pressure, making Ryan work every second, draining his energy, and then turning up the intensity in the later rounds when fatigue sets in. That tactical breakdown from one of the most respected trainers in boxing history carries serious influence, and it's adding fuel to the growing doubt about whether Ryan is truly prepared for this level at welterweight. And just when the discussion seemed packed with expert opinions, another heavyweight voice enters the conversation. Reports suggest Floyd Mayweather has been closely watching Ryan's progression and has reportedly told people around him, Ryan has the tools to win, but does he have the discipline? That's always been his question mark. Many believe Mayweather's comments are pointing directly at Ryan's history of distractions, moments where training camps get overshadowed by social media drama, outside noise, and headlines that pull focus away from preparation. The underlying message feels clear. Talent alone isn't enough if the discipline behind it wavers. Andre Ward also weighed in, and he didn't sugarcoat his assessment. The Hall of Famer said bluntly, I think Barrios wins a competitive decision. He acknowledged Ryan's raw ability. There's no denying the skill, the speed, the explosive power, but Ward drew a sharp line between talent and true championship execution at welterweight. In his view, Barrios already operates at that execution level. Ryan is still developing it. Ward broke down what execution really means over 12 rounds. It's about controlling distance instead of reacting, setting up combinations instead of forcing them, managing energy so there's something left in the championship rounds, staying defensively responsible every single exchange. According to Ward, Barrios naturally implements those fundamentals. Ryan, on the other hand, shows flashes, but consistency at that elite structural level remains the question, and that wraps up the latest wave of predictions from boxing's biggest names. The debate has been intense, the opinions divided, and the stakes higher than ever. For the most powerful updates on key moments, breaking news, and major fights in boxing, stay locked in by subscribing. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss content like this when it drops.